Hello and welcome to episode number 10 of Missed Mando, a disc golf podcast covering the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden. Joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu-Harris. Galen, let's go to you first. How are you doing, my friend, and what have you been up to since our last episode?
I'm doing good, man. You know, just throwing discs and occasionally putting them near baskets and living and laughing and loving. Let's see, since the last episode, played out in Abbey Gardens up in beautiful Halliburton, one of my favorite courses to play at. We were talking about our favorite courses on the last episode, and I have to say that is like teetering very close towards the edge of my top 5. Stunning and challenging and like sort of all the properties you'd love about a disc golf course. But played a one-day MA2 disc golf tournament, finished second in a small field of 8 that I was pretty happy with. Won myself some sweet plastic as a merch out. I don't know where the disc is, but it's got to be floating around here somewhere. And, just getting into the swing of things in life, playing the odd Tag Tuesday round. You and I met up for a rated round of golf club last week that went a lot better for you than it did for me.
How was the weather?
The weather was dangerous. Is dangerous the right word to use?
It might be.
There was lightning crackling overhead. There was thunder. There were several times when I felt in my mind like we should probably not be playing disc golf, but I'm not going to mess around with my friend Robbie. I'm not going to say anything. If the lightning hits me, it's like the Ivan Drago from Rocky. If I die, I'm here for the disc golf, man. Who cares? So life's been pretty good. Nothing super notable to bring up, but playing some tournaments, playing some tag rounds, having a good time. How about you, Sean? What's new with you?
Had a fantastic time camping at Albion Hills and playing the Conservation Series. Such a fantastic event. First tournament at that course, and I was playing in MA40. I came in a solid 9th place, which I was really, really happy about. Cashed, shot an average of almost 40 points above my rating, and it was a pretty deep field. Like we had 28 players in the division, and this was absolutely one of my best finishes in MA40. I was really happy with it, and it was a fantastic weekend. How about you, Robbie? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I got to play.
Don't want to hear from Robbie. Let's just go straight into our tournament recap. Heard from you, Sean. Heard from me. We're good to go.
I'm not letting you block the hosts. I will speak my piece, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Just a little bit of how the sausage is made. Robbie was reminding us like 2 minutes ago that last time we didn't throw back to him for how he's been up to. So sorry, buddy. I had to poke a little bit of fun there. What do you got going on?
I got things going on in my life, Got to get some stuff off my chest. I also got to play in the Conservation Series at Albion Hills. Had a great time. Turning into one of my favorite courses in Ontario for sure. Every time I go there, especially because up until my practice round before the tournament, I had only played it in the winter. So now going back, a lot more scenic, less snow and more green, and it was awesome. It didn't go as great for me in round 1. I shot a +7 total, including a quadruple bogey on hole 9, put 3 discs into water, actually somehow got them all back. That might be the first time that anyone's ever put 3 discs in water in a tournament and got every single one back, like literally before leaving the hole. They were just so close to the shoreline, but followed it up in round 2 with a 972 rated 1 under, so bounced back pretty good. And then this past weekend, I started to play the Bronte and the Beast tournament. I played as a 3-round tournament over 2 days. I played the Saturday, both rounds, played so bad. Ratings wise, it doesn't really show it as it, but to me, it felt like the worst that I've played all year. And it took a lot out of me that day. Anyone that knows me knows that I like to be a very positive person on the course. I never want to be the reason that like my card mates are affected by somebody that's being negative. And it just took a lot out of me to stay positive while playing so terribly. So, I took my first ever DNF, and didn't go back for the third round. I was actually like staring at my phone for like 10 minutes before messaging Chris Brown, the TD. So that was interesting, but, I'm just going to bounce back. I'm like more motivated. Like I want to go and do field work and practice putting like a lot more. So maybe a blessing in disguise, having Bronte, whoop my ass like that. And yeah, I got to give, two shout outs in my division. One to my buddy Keith Sheriff, who took down the win in MA1. He had two great rounds to take it down, by a stroke. And also shout out, we'll leave this shout out. I think someone might want to bring it up, like Galen said, how the sausage is made. I see some live additions to our show notes being made, so we'll leave that second shout out. And before we jump into the recap of Albion Hills, the other thing that I have had recently is I got this beautiful disc in the mail. Friend of the show. I can't get it without the glare from my screen. But friend of the show, Rebecca Dawn, when she was on the podcast, she mentioned that she might be getting some commemorative discs for her FJ18 win at the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship. And of course, I had to pick one up. The funds from these discs are going to be helping her go to Junior Worlds this year. And I mean, just look at how gorgeous this plastic is. The pink with the blue rim and the awesome stamp on there. You got Rebecca Dawn, FJ18 champ.
Awesome. So badass.
So if I should have reached out and messaged her before to see, but if there are discs left and you're looking to buy one, you can reach out to her directly. Assuming Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of her, and you can purchase one there. Like I said, that's going to help support her on her trip to Junior Worlds. So yeah.
I got another quick
friend of the pod.
Got another quick disc to show off that features a friend of the pod that I received since our last episode. I don't know how well you can see. Also having glare issues.
You got worse glare than me.
Yeah, apparently I do. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
that's a little bit better.
I don't know what you did.
Chantel Batinsky Signature Series.
Heck yeah.
Freshly autographed.
Which we were able to chat with her about that disc when she was on the podcast. So,
heck yeah, buddy. But yeah, when I'm not disc golfing, sometimes I do other things in my life, and one of them is, as I said on the board, nice, Sean, for a local conservation authority, and they had an event where they were raffling things off, and I was like, you know what, I want to support them. I would love some sweet Chantel Badinsky plastic, so fresh edition. I'm thinking about even throwing in bag, which I know is insane, but we'll see.
I mean, it's a great disc, a Prodigy F3. Yeah, it flies. If I've thrown mine, it flies so nice, and the ink really adds to its distance. It's just science.
Yeah, I've field tested this one, and I can guarantee it'll throw further than anything that has not been autographed by Chantel herself. 100%.
There you go.
It's got the guarantee. And speaking of Chantel, what do you boys say we move on to an event that Chantel was playing in, the Chainlink Conservation Series at Albion Hills? We were talking about that a bit in our intro. This was the very first Chainlink Conservation Series event, hosted by Chainlink Disc Golf, Jeff and Kara. I know they have another one later this year at Kelso Conservation Park as well, and I'm assuming that's going to be a series that they continue year after year. Would love to have them on at some point to chat about that. And this is also the first event ever held at Albion Hills as well. This is a newer course designed by Jeff and Kara. I believe it officially opened just at the end of last year. Shawnee G might know a little better than me on that. A little head nod. Sweet. All right, I got it right. And it's quickly become one of my favorites, as I mentioned. It's a tough layout. It has lots of variety in shots and elevation. And it's some beautiful scenery out there too. So highly recommend if you can make it out to Albion to check out the course there. They also have the Albion Albatross course, which is what this tournament was on. They also have the Albion, is it just called the Birdie course, Sean? Yep, the Albion Birdie course. So it's a 9-hole, much shorter kind of ace play style. But there are still some very tough holes, through the trees on that short layout as well. So great time if you're ever in the area. But in FPO, friend of the show, Kat Johnson, held a 1-stroke lead over Colleen McInnes after round 1. But in round 2, it was Chantel Badinsky shooting the hot round by 4 strokes and taking the comeback win by 2 strokes. Over an MPO, Thomas Hums shot a 1,001 rated event to take a 1-stroke win over young gun Jake Voskamp, who put up a great battle, but unfortunately lost 2 strokes to Thomas on the last 2 holes to finish in 2nd place. Shawnee G, let's send it over to you first. Any thoughts that you have on the Chainlink Conservation Series at Albion?
Echoing what you said, this is such a fantastic course. One of the best in Ontario for sure. And it was awesome to play it in sort of tournament mode. Really, really, really fun and great to watch the other divisions absolutely shred it. Following the MPO card, what a finish. If I remember right, Thomas and Jake had the lead coming into 15, and they both birdie 15, they both bogey 16, and then Jake unfortunately takes a bogey on 17, and Thomas nails the birdie on 18 to beat him by just 1 stroke. What a fight down to the wire. Just amazing to watch. And yeah, it was such a fantastic division. Wanted to give a shout out, as you were alluding to someone in your division in MA1, Brady.
Belanger.
Belanger. That was those guys. I thought it was Belanger, but not Belanger.
We can say Bellinger. I call him.
Yeah, it's
Belanger.
Definitely not either of those latter 2 pronunciations.
Belanger.
I figured as much. He
It's like
did
the
what I thought.
Shand of anglicization.
He did what I thought was impossible, short of like Thomas Gilbert shredding the hell out of that course. He threw in his 2nd round a -5 bogey free 1,008 rated round.
Insane.
To move up 10 spots and take 2nd place in MA1. And he only throws forehands.
Yep.
Unbelievable round. Absolutely the round of the weekend there. So incredibly impressive. Shout out to, of course, friend of the show, Chantel Badinsky, who again took down FPO by 2 strokes over our good friend Colleen McInnes, and friend of the show, Kat Johnson. Some other winners include Greg Rutenboer, Double G, beat Scott Jameson over in FP40 by 2 strokes. Again, 15,
I didn't know Greg Rutenboer moved to FP40. I thought he was still playing FP40.
Sorry, I was reading. MP40, definitely not FP40. Again, similar to MPO, I think they were tied when they got to hole 15, and then the bogey on 16 by Scotty J, and then a birdie by Double G on 18, and he absolutely just took it down. Super cool. Jane Logan takes down another one in FP40. So many amazing players and so many amazing divisions. It was absolutely the can't miss tournament of the late spring, and this is going to be a one you have to play next year.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I just wanted to add quickly about Chantel as well is she went an unfortunate +7 in the last 3 holes of the tournament, taking a +5 on hole 17, and still was only a +3 for the round. So she was, going into those holes was at, what would that math be? 4 under, 5 under? Yeah, 4 under. 4 under par. She was 4 under par with 3 holes to go. That would have been 1,000 rated event, because FPO was playing the longs as well. All same tee pads, but some divisions got different pars. She was playing the hardest layout, so she was on pace for 1,000 rated event. She played unbelievable in that round. Sean, I don't know, you were there obviously, and you were just talking about following the MPO. Did you get to see the end of the FPO card as well? Did you see that happen at all? I mean, she was shredding going into those last 3 holes.
I mean, she birdies 1, birdies 3, gets 9, gets 10, gets 14, gets 15. Like, absolutely fantastic round. Most birdies on the course of any FPO player in both of the rounds. She got beat up a little bit on 17 for sure. But she
was still able to walk in the win, so not to take anything away from her performance. But
I think coming into 16, she had 6-stroke advantage.
Yeah,
so, she could easily burn a few and still have a comfortable cushion. And it was really happy for her that she took down the win. Even if it was a little rough at the end there. May not feel that great, but hey, a win is a win.
A win is a win. Wasn't trying to take anything away from her there, but I know as the competitor that she is, I know she's probably thinking I could have had 1,000 rated round there. That's always nice to have. So I'm sure she's little kicking herself from that, but I mean the trophy is all the same. So it doesn't really matter there. Galen, any thoughts from you on the conservation series?
No thoughts, just vibes.
Love it. Well, let's move on.
I don't have much to add. I will just quickly shout out a friend of the show. I don't know if it's officially because we haven't had him on, but Thomas. He and I met very haphazardly at an ice bowl in Sudbury in 2021 or 2022. He at the time...
Is there 18 feet of snow?
Oh, dude, it was insane. It was the deepest snow I think I've played in. If not, it was certainly very close to it. But I was up there with my buddies, Brad and Graham Sharp, playing the ice bowl, and got there on the Friday for a practice round and just bumped into Thomas. And I think at the time he was just sort of transitioning from M1 to MPO. And I was like, who is this phenom who is jump putting stuff in, and also there's a certain hole downhill, it's 150-foot hole that he jump putted off the tee, which was a totally foreign concept to me at the time. I was like, who is this jump putting animal? He's also one of the coolest dudes I've met on the disc golf course. So just super quickly, anytime I see Thomas performing well, I'm very happy. Great dude, and his wife Alicia and he are one of the foremost disc golf power couples. Certainly been lucky enough to commentate on some of his rounds, and that dude shreds. So love seeing him win. Shorter interactions with Chantel, but happy for her. Always happy to see Kat and Colleen perform well too. So not a whole lot to add. You guys covered it off pretty well, but happy to see good people doing good things.
Heck yeah, we love it here on Missed Mando, and we will chug along to our next tournament recap, heading out west to BC. And Shawnee G, I will send it over to you for this one.
British Columbia it plays host to a number of amazing A-tier tournaments. And a couple weekends ago, it was time for the 2024 Tournament Capital Open, put on by the amazing tournament director, Carrie Neal. I've played the event the last 2 years, and my FOMO was off the charts at when I was playing at Albion because I was missing out on the TCO. I absolutely love that event. The courses in Kamloops, BC are fantastic. Last year they played it on 3 courses. This year was played on 2 courses. It was played on MacArthur Island, which is a former golf course that has OB all over the place. And in a very different type of course, there was Copper Ridge, which is like a dense forest that is basically on the side of the mountain. You're throwing uphill, you're throwing downhill. They put in a new lake crossing. It's an incredible course. Solid turnout. MPO had 21 players and FPO had 10. And friend of the show, Thomas Gilbert, speaking of amazing disc golfers named Thomas, he got the hat trick and has now won back-to-back-to-back Tournament Capital Opens. In his first round, he even smashed a 355-foot ace on hole 3 at Copper Ridge. This is like through a forest, and he nails the ace. Just amazing. Round 2, he gets an amazing bogey-free 1055 minus 12 at Copper, and going into the final round, he's got a 9-stroke lead, and he had room to burn off some strokes while still winning by 6. Another absolutely amazing performance of by Thomas in a tournament that, like, I think they might as well just print his name on the trophy just at registration. In FPO, Victoria's Julie Moines. She also went back-to-back, winning the event again. Her final score of -3 was the only player in the division to finish under par. And she was 7 better than Christy Lee in second place. Friend of the show, Gabby Lee, took the other podium spot, coming in third, which is her second podium in a row at the TCO. There's something about the FPO players from Victoria. Our friend Sophia Donica is from there as well, and they are so good. They are so good out there, and the TCO really highlights their skills. If you're looking for a great tournament to sort of travel to from Ontario, I can't recommend the TCO enough. It's a super fun event on some amazing courses.
Love it. Yeah, I don't really have much to add in terms of like thoughts on the tournament or anything other than just I really want to travel out there. I was really thinking about it this year for either TCO or I think the other one was the BC Open. Another A-tier out there.
Canadian Nationals is like an hour and a half north of Kamloops in September.
Yeah, Canadian Nationals out there as well. So yeah, there's, going to be lots of big tournaments in BC, and I've yet to I've been to BC once when I was younger on a family trip. Didn't have any discs with me or anything like that, so haven't played any courses out there. I'd love to play on some mountain courses. So just hopefully I can check that off of the bucket list. Galen, I don't know if you got any thoughts to add from TCO.
Just shout out BC Disc Golf, man.
Heck yeah.
I actually threw my first disc, played my first round. I think I might even have mentioned this to you guys or on the pod before, in BC as a younger man. And in Cooper's Hawk in Campbell River has a near and dear place in my heart, even though I haven't been there since I have gotten back to picking up and throwing discs in the post-COVID world. But yeah, a lot of affection for playing out there, a lot of affection for being out there. My dad was born in BC, grew up there. So love that we're providing a little bit of coverage to that, and yeah, also looking for whatever opportunity I can to get out there and throw some discs. I might be getting there in July. Won't be for a tournament, but if I am out there, you better believe there's going to be a Pathfinder, a Coalesce, and a Praxis in my carry-on bag. I'm going to be playing.
Heck yeah. The essentials. Love it. Well, we will continue to chug along here with our tournament recaps. And this one coming from this past weekend. And it was a hot and humid weekend for another Ontario B tier with the annual Bronte and the Beast tournament, a 2-day, 3-round event held at the amazing Bronte Creek Provincial Park. In FPO, Bronte's own Colleen McInnes mounted a 6-stroke comeback in the final round to force a playoff, but it was Middleport, New York's I don't know if it's Alessia or Alicia. I'm gonna go with Alessia Hinkson, who was able to take down, and apologies if I got the pronunciations wrong. She was able to take down the win after a 2-hole playoff battle, with Jess Goulet rounding out the podium in third. This is Alessia's 6th win of the season already, and 11th as a pro in only 2 seasons. Maybe another rising star in FPO. Over in MPO, there was another final round comeback with Andrew Leland erasing the 4 strokes he trailed by entering the final round, shooting the hot round of the tournament with a -7 1036 rated round and taking down the win by 2 strokes over Kalen Schatt, with Calvin Rorda and Thomas Hums finishing tied for third. Andrew's 1036 rated final round is the highest round rating he's had since 2022. And this is his first win since last year's Bronte and the Beast. Clearly a great course for Andrew there. Galen, let's send it over to you first as someone who I know Bronte holds a special place in your heart. Let's send over to you for some of your thoughts on the Bronte and the Beast tournament.
Yeah, you know it, buddy. The couple of discs that I bought out in BC at Cooper's Hawk that made it back and sat in my parents' basement for 10 years until I picked up disc golf again, came out of retirement in that round for the first time, my first round at Bronte a few years ago. And I just cranked my Elite Z Discraft Wasp into that tree in the middle of the fairway on hole 10 and shattered it. And the rest has been history for me. I was hooked. I picked up the 4 pieces of my disc and I threw them out, and I came back the next day, and Bronte has been my favorite course probably ever since. I got to shout out the TD, Chris Brown. Got to shout out Tobin Isaac for all the help that he gave. I don't know if he was co-TD or assistant TD, whatever he was, but I hear the event went off without a hitch. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it out. I would have loved to be there. Didn't make it out, but I think first place on the wait list counts for something. I don't know. I didn't get a trophy, so that was kind of weird. But no, I mean, it was fantastic. I love seeing that Leyland won. He and I did some commentary together over on Canadian Disc Golf Productions a while back, and great dude to hang out with. Incredible disc golfer. I got to watch him win last year in a 3-player playoff, I believe, with Chris Oz and might have been Jake Foskamp. That might have been... No, it must have been Bronte and the Beast, because it was his first win since that. I was going to say it might have been the Bronte Classic, but no, it must have been Bronte and the Beast. So got to see that win in epic fashion. So not surprised, but certainly impressed by that play. And as somebody that's played at Bronte for like going on 3, maybe even 4 years at this point, there are 4 different layouts. There are short tee pads, long tee pads, short baskets, long baskets. Shooting a neg 7 from long baskets to long tee pads, longs to reds, is just mind-bogglingly insane for me. Mm-hmm. I don't play that layout very often. I don't think I've got below +2 or +3, and those have been scores on like some of my better days at disc golf to be approaching par. So that is just, an unheard of score, at least for me. So big fan. Can't say enough good things about Bronte or Chris Brown or Tobin, or Andrew Leyland, or some of the other locals. It was great to see Colleen in the hunt. Unfortunately, unable to take it down. How about you, Sean? Do you have any thoughts to add on Bronte and the Beast?
So, you mentioned that this is the Beast plays the hardest layout that Bronte has, and I think they're like added OB as well to make it like extra hard.
Yeah, so they add some OB, and they also push a few baskets into longer than usual positions for the Beast. And they've kept them there now. We'll see how long they stay for the summer. But it's not just the hardest layout; it's the hardest layout plus additional challenges that are added. It's tough.
Yeah, like in the event description, it's like this is intended to be an elite level event. Players should expect to play the toughest versions of Bronte. And they outdid themselves again this year to make this an absolute monster of a course. And it challenged absolutely everybody.
You could even perhaps say that it was a beast.
It's not just a catchy tournament name. It is an accurate description, and played on in some of the worst conditions short of a hurricane.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we went up to White Spruce just to play like a little practice round to get ready for the White Spruce Open in a couple weeks. And we lasted like the front 10, and we're just like, no, we're tapped out. We're just drowning out here. Mm-hmm. And the Beast was playing rounds after rounds after rounds in that condition. And so like, utmost total respect to anybody who simply survived the tournament. Like that was not an easy thing to do.
I wasn't one of them.
Like no shame in not finishing that awful weather event. Like just brutal tournament. You don't win the Beast, you basically survive it. And kudos to all the winners in the divisions, because that is not an easy one to take down.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Like I mentioned in the intro, I DNF'd from the tournament after the Saturday rounds. It was so hot and humid, as it has been all week here in Ontario and in lots of places. It is so hot and humid. And then some rain came through and was off and on through the second round. And then I heard it was insanely windy on Sunday as well. So yeah, big kudos to everybody that did make it through. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them. My neck hurts from a sunburn. I had itchy spots on my arm from poison ivy. My very first throw of the day was a lost disc. It was just a brutal time out there for me, but that's why we don't talk about me in the main breakdowns, and we leave it to the pros and the and the good players.
I prefer not to talk about you at all, to be fair.
I know. I got to fight.
Sean and I have tried really hard on multiple occasions to not talk about you, but it's tough sometimes.
No. Yeah, that's why I have to be so loud sometimes. I gotta make myself known. But anyways, any more thoughts from either of you guys on Bronte and the Beast before we move on?
No, but who we would like to talk to and talk a lot about is our first featured guest of this episode, the one, the only Luke Taylor. And we will be right back with that interview here on Miss Mando.
Welcome back to Miss Mando. Our next guest is someone who is really storming onto the Pro Tour. He won the U.S. Junior Championships in MJ12 in 2018, Junior Worlds in MJ15 in 2021, and followed it up with a third at U.S. AMs in 2021 as well. He dabbled in MPO in 2019 when I think he wasn't even 15 years old, and went MPO for good in 2021 when he accepted his first cash at the CCR Open. He won 6 tournaments in MPO in 2021, 5 in 22, cashing in 21 of 24 tournaments entered that year. Another 8 events in 2023, only missing cash once, and winning the 2023 DGPT Rookie of the Year award. He's already won 5 tournaments in 2024, and this past weekend at the Preserve, he was all over coverage and in contention throughout, tying with Gannon Burr for 5th place. We are very pleased to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast from Shepherd, Michigan, Luke Taylor. Luke, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course, happy to be on the podcast.
Yeah, we are super excited to have you, and we'll just jump right into it. So I mentioned this past weekend you tied for 5th place at the Preserve. You shot your highest event average at a major or elite event in your career with a 1055 average, and your second round was rated 1060, the second highest rated round in a major or elite event in your career, with the highest rated being a 1061 at the Preserve last year. And this was your best finish in a Pro Tour event. What is it about the Preserve that works so well for your game?
This was something that I brought up over DGN2 a couple of times, and just kind of talking to my friends about it throughout the week. And we all kind of came to the consensus that playing out there, you just feel free. There's not as much OB as your other courses, so you just feel like if you commit to the shot in front of you and execute it well, you get birdies. So I just feel like it's super fair, and that weekend, obviously, everything was, working better for me than it has at a Pro Tour event. So it was just like playing out there, you feel like you can let loose a little bit and just throw the shot in front of you. So
Love it.
Probably why. Yep.
So after round 1, you're tied for 6th. Round 2, you move up to 4th. You're tied with Gannon. You show a bogey-free round. You nab the hole 18 eagle again. Round 3, chase, top of the chase card. Do you do anything sort of for your mental game to prepare yourself for, that level of pressure for, to be at the top of the field on coverage? How do you stay sort of in the game for that final stretch, for that last push to try and take it down?
That I feel like that just comes with experience on the tour. Something that I've learned a lot more this year, and what is resulting directly correlating in my higher finishes, is how important it is to stay patient on the tour. People shoot hot on the tour, and it just happens naturally. So being able to just take a step back after each round and try to just play in the moment. Like, there's something I've gotten a lot better at is not crunching the numbers all the time and just focusing on what's in front of me for the next shot. So just moving on one shot at a time, having that kind of goldfish mentality, like just being patient, playing in the moment, and trying to attack the next hole as best I can. My mom always tells me to make my next moment my best moment. So that's probably that. I mean, there's nothing really special to that mental approach, but it's just come with experience on the tour and taking bad losses in the past. Like, to start the season, all the good accolades get brought up, right? But to start the season, I finished 84th at Texas State's, playing some of the worst disc golf of my career. And then I followed it up with missing the cash line or cut line by a stroke at Northwood Black. So my first 2 events of the season were both terrible. I've moved up, thankfully, every single event, moving up into 35th at DDO, then 10th at Portland, 9th at Milo, and then 5th at the Preserve, and obviously you want to see those top 10 finishes consistently, but just kind of growing in myself and giving myself some grace when I do make mistakes, because I'm not human. So I am human. That sounded...
Wait. Breaking news. Luke Taylor, Luke Taylor, not human. I think
that would explain a lot of about how much better you are than any of us that are on this pod. Yeah, makes sense.
What they don't tell you is that everybody on tour is a robot. So,
okay. You know that about Calvin.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't have to convince me about Heimberg, that's for sure.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
But, you sort of touched on this, that you've been sort of on a positive and upward trajectory. You got your first ever MPO top 10 at a major or elite at Portland, followed up with that 9th, and now 5th at the Preserve. So, you were sort of touching on some of this stuff now, but if you could expand maybe just a little bit more, do you feel like you found a new level in your game? Is there anything sort of besides taking that sort of time to smell the roses, to let the game find you, that you feel has helped you to get that consistency? I think you should be feeling pretty good about your play recently at Elite Series, but any sort of additional thoughts you have on your play, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously things are working right now. I think the most encouraging thing to me is that it hasn't been perfect. Like, I have made mistakes. There are still kinks in my game that I'm working out. I'm still trying to figure out a consistent putting stroke and trying to figure out what I like here and there. as far as additional thoughts on my game, like, yeah, I'm super happy with everything. My backhand's going further and more consistently accurate than it ever has been. I can't always say the same for my forehand. It costed me a couple strokes of preserve, but, I've been leaning on the backhand more as of late. And, my physical game itself is obviously at the highest level it has been. I still don't think I've reached my ceiling as far as my physical gameplay can be. But I will say that it's consistency and being able to recover from, like, I'm not messing up as badly. Like, when I throw a bad shot, it doesn't go out of bounds every time now. So that obviously saves you a ton of strokes.
Huge.
So, yeah, just being able to mitigate the damage and, it, like, I don't know. Like I said, it's at a higher level of consistency that it's ever been, for sure. And that's obviously where the finishing in the top 10 comes from. So,
love it. So I want to change up gears a little bit and switch from talking about your hot recent play and actually go all the way back to the beginning and the start of your career. I mentioned it a little bit in the intro. You obviously started off when you were really young, winning some young junior titles as well. How old were you when you started playing tournaments? Who got you into the sport? What about it got you hooked? And then a little bit further ahead of that start, when did you know when it was officially time for you to go pro?
So I guess you could say I've played my whole life. I mean, there's always been discs around the house. I played my first tournament sort of when I was 8. I only played one round in a division by myself on my home course shorts layout, so that really didn't count. But I mean, that was
your first win,
right?
It was your first win. Totally, you took it down,
right? Absolutely. I don't even remember what junior division I was in. I guess it would have been MJ8, but that was forever ago. Feels like. I don't know. And then I started to take it more seriously. I still remember the day that my mom told me we were going to go to Vermont. About a year before we went to Vermont for the 2018 USJDGC. And I've never been more dedicated to something in my entire life. I practice every day. My mom has videos when I was practicing in a blizzard back home. And that's something, like, I look back on that now and I'm like, you were so silly. Why would you do that to yourself? But, so, like, I guess I started taking disc golf seriously when I realized that, like, I can beat a lot of the people my age. So, I mean, playing first professional tournaments back in, like, 2021, 2019, just, like, kind of getting a taste of the pro scene and realizing, man, I'm not there yet. But I think I would say I really started to take disc golf seriously as, like, this is going to be what I want to do as my job. Would probably be 2019, 2020, right around when COVID hit. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, and obviously I had more time to practice doing disc golf during the quarantine as well. So just like, yeah, probably right around there. And then
you were like 14 at that point, something like that.
I was pretty young. Yeah, it was the end of 8th grade when COVID hit. So yeah, probably 14 years old. So yeah, that was when like the dream formed, to like the first like real dream, I guess you could say. There was one point in kindergarten when I wanted to be a horse jockey. So that was after watching Secretariat for the first time. Great movie.
Nice.
But yeah, right around there. And I would have to say my mom and dad got me into the sport. They were the ones that found disc golf. My dad and mom never forced me to do it. It was just something that I did. Mostly as a hobby when I was still playing baseball in middle school. But as soon as I decided to drop baseball, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. So, and from then on, I was just putting in the work to get to the level I'm at now. So, yeah.
I just have one quick follow-up before sending it over to one of the other guys. When you were first starting to like really take it seriously, who was like someone on the pro tour that you were looking at and kind of like, envisioning yourself battling against them and like, really getting out on tour? And who was that person in your mind that you were like, maybe modeling your game after or idolizing, that sort of thing?
Macbeth. Like every other kid growing up.
Shocker.
I still try to putt like him, sort of. like my form is pretty similar on the putting green. I'd like to think, probably not. He probably puts with less hyzer than I do, but I can't fix that. My wrist doesn't work like that. Gannon makes fun of me for that too. He's like, man, you can't putt flat at all. I'm like, yeah, I know, my wrist doesn't work like that. But yeah, Paul Macbeth. That's something I used to do growing up is I would write down all of the pros that I knew that were playing on the tour at the time. And I would play like a tournament by myself as each one of those individual pros. So like I would go out and play 18 holes as 4 different people playing from every single lie, writing down the scores for all of those players. And that was a great way. That was a great way for me to learn what felt good off the tee, what felt good on the putting green. And, you know, the Macbeth putting style always stuck with me. And now I feel like I kind of have my own throw for both forehands and backhands. But I mean, that's always been like, when something doesn't work putting, that's what I revert back to because I know it's going to at least get me by until I can figure something out that's sustainable. So, yeah, I'm known to change up my putting a lot.
When you were doing these practice rounds, were you like mimicking the throwing style of each of these pros?
Yes. So I would mimic their routine. I would mimic their throwing style. Just like any picture of them I could get in my head, I would do that.
How close can you get to the Matty O throwing style?
He wasn't a touring player at the time I was doing that.
I'd like been a touring player for like 20 years.
I know.
He's been a touring player longer than you've been alive.
He never won anything on the DVDs that we had. So
let me just
that's not a shot to Matt Hill. I didn't have any coverage.
Not a lot of footage
growing up. No.
It's probably not a bad thing because only Matty O can throw like him. Like
I played with him this weekend. It's incredible how consistent he is with his form. It's so unique. His game style, his play style is so unique. It's incredible. Honestly, it's crazy to watch. He's really good.
I will say that I do love hearing you say that you were watching DVDs because you mentioned being like in grade 8 when COVID hit. Made me feel really old for a second there, but as long as you overlap DVDs, I think we're fine.
Yeah. I remember when I watched the 06 Japan Open on a DVD my dad had. It was Steve Rico, Avery Jenkins, Nate Doss, and Barry Schultz. So
vintage, baby. I love that.
Yeah. I still have like a Florida doubles match with Garrett Gerthy, Avery Jenkins, Dave Feldberg, and Ken Climo. So
how does it feel to be now on tour with these legends and you're keeping up to them and you're beating a lot of them?
You know, it like the dream becoming the reality. So it's cliche, but it really is a dream come true. And I think the biggest shocker to me was like I viewed these people as celebrities, and then when you meet them in person, you realize that these are just chill dudes out here, you know, playing the game they love, same as you. So like, yeah, we all sign autographs from time to time, but like we're still out here because we love the game and we wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So like it's an incredible experience to get to meet all these people. I got to play with Macbeth for the first time at Portland, and he's a really cool dude. He's not just a good disc golfer, one of the greatest of all time, debatably the best of all time. But he's just a really good guy. So, you know, it's cool to meet all these people in real life and be like, yeah, these are the people I watched growing up. Like, so it's incredible. I've gotten to play with pretty much all of my idols at this point. So it's awesome.
And you're on the same team as many of them. I see your Discraft hat there. Mm-hmm. A fellow Michigan company. So how did it come about that you joined the Discraft team? Did they basically see you tearing up the Michigan circuit and come to you and say, "Hey, we need you desperately on our team. We have just a bunch of clowns. This Macbeth guy is totally washed." Or I assume that's probably the way that it worked. Did I nail it?
No, it's a little bit off.
Not quite?
So,
it's a little off. Okay.
Back in 2019, 2020, I think I sent an application to Discraft Underground. I spent a couple of years on the Underground team, just a kind of a normal dude. I went out and I won Junior Worlds, and the underground captain, who is a close friend of mine now, Wes, he called me and he's like, "Hey, Bob and I have been talking. Like, I think they want to promote you to the tour team." So for the last three, just kind of the normal leveling up process. You know, I took underground as the foundation for what I wanted to do, and from there, my relationship with them as my main sponsor has grown from where it's at. So, you know, and hopefully with the way I'm playing, we can make the elite team pretty soon. That'd be great. So,
how has now that you're playing a lot of events this year, how has the level of support been at the tour team level?
You know, it's good to have good people behind you. I have a lot of sponsors. Everybody's helping out, contributing equally pretty much right now. But, you know, I like where I'm at. I can't go into any details really about my contracts, but,
yeah.
You know, I'm happy with the support that I have from everybody, you know, and as I continue to show my worth on the tour, you know, hopefully that continues to grow. But that's usually how it works. So as long as I can prove that I'm worth something, more people will be willing to pay me more money. So, you know, every little financial bit helps me, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And sort of talking about that growth, and I would even hazard to use the term exponential growth as far as you're concerned, because it's been a pretty, I wouldn't say necessarily like insanely rapid. I was going to say rapid, and I want to like put any pressure on you by sort of terming it that way. But like consistent growth. I've loved to see it. So sort of talking about your bag, I find that when you're sort of finding a new level in your game, sometimes it could actually throw what's in your bag for a bit of a loop. You know, if you're throwing a little bit further, you might have to start to pivot on the discs that you're going to in certain situations. You know, if you're focusing on consistency and leveling up the mental game, you might take things in a different direction. You know, what are some of your favorites, some of the most important discs in your bag this season? What are you turning to the most often?
My main putting putters right now, switched them out actually after Milo because I went home and I couldn't putt. I'm back to putting with the Stone Steady BLs. So those are what I'm using on the greens right now. My main throwing putter that you'll see me throw is my ESP Luna. You see that a lot for my approach shots or putter tee shots, which there aren't a lot of on the tour courses. But like this weekend out at the Majestic, I'll be throwing a lot more putter tee shots with my ESP Luna. I like my Z Zone OS that's been in the bag since it came out. It's a great approach disc for me. My favorite mid-range is the Drone. Super consistent, overstable mid-range. I have two in the bag, and they're both incredible discs, you know, and obviously I have a Buzz, and then I have a Meteor. Fairways, I love my Captains, Raptors, and my Athenas. For distance drivers, I love my Forces and my Nukes. So, those are kind of the molds that I base my bag around. Growing up playing, and this is something that I feel like is kind of, I don't want to say a lost art in disc golf, but you see on the tour nowadays, a lot of people just have a bunch of the same mold, not necessarily filling every slot. The way I've grown up playing disc golf, I had to have like an understable putter and a super overstable putter, you know, and everything in between. So I have a different disc for every slot. So like I even bag an ESP Thrasher. There isn't a single Discraft Tour team, elite team member, I think, that bags one on the MPO field. And then I could be wrong. There might be one or two, but it's just
I can't think of any.
Right. It's just I've always had to have something from the most extreme to the other extreme, and just having all of those slots filled. And I'm really happy that the Macbeth bag came out because it's offered me a little bit more room to add a couple more discs, especially when we have water courses. I can bring a few backups with me too. So, but I have to have every slot filled. So just like there's obviously the straighter to stable discs I build my game around like everybody else, but I do have everything from a Z-Nuke OS to an ESP Thrasher. So
yeah, and I love the way that you think about it. I'm gonna like make myself I'm gonna out myself here as being a pretty big nerd, but when I was a kid, my favorite game growing up was Yu-Gi-Oh, like the card game. And the sort of way that you built a deck was you picked a number of core cards, and you had like 2 or 3 of those in a 40 card deck. But you had what you called like tech cards, where it's like in this specific situation, you need that card. So you have your, I don't know, your I like need a sawed off forehand card. You have your I gotta throw a weird hyzer around a tree card that you plug in next to your workhorses. I've always thought about building a disc golf bag the same way. I have a number of molds that I have two. I don't think there's anything I have 3 of right now, but I have at times. But then I have my understable and super overstable putter. I have my every sort of version of something. I think about it the same way, so I love that.
Yeah. So So instead of just having 6 forces, I have, like, I'll just go through my distance drivers. I have a Z Nuke OS, that's my super overstable backhand distance driver. I have an ESP Nuke OS, that's my super overstable forehand distance driver. I have a Z Force, that's my stable distance driver. Another Z Force for water carries, because I don't have any sentimental attachment to it.
It's the sacrificial disc.
Right, and it flies really good. So at this point, I'm starting to hope I don't lose it. But I mean, it flew really good at the preserve. It yielded a lot of birdies. But then I have my seasoned veteran that's been in the bag all season, which is an ESP Force I have, and that's my straight distance driver. I have an ESP Nuke that's my straight forehand distance driver, an ESP Nuke that's my flippy distance driver, and then my ESP Thrasher, which is my roller or even flippier distance driver. So I just have everything. That's just how the rest of my bag works too. I have to have everything to feel comfortable on the course, just in case.
I love that, and I feel a little validated right now in my bag setup, obviously as a much less talented disc golfer, but that's kind of the same way that because myself personally, I don't really, it's my biggest work in progress has been my forehand. I've always been more of a backhand player, and I almost have like putters, mid-ranges, fairways, distance, and then 5 molds of each going from super overstable all the way to super flippy. And hearing someone as talented as you describe that exact same thing, basically, I feel some validation. So anyone of my friends that want to say, you know, you got to take just multiple or one mold and get different wares, different plastics and get those in. Nah, I have Luke's validation, so they can get off my back.
I've never been a one mold kind of guy, really. It's just not me, honestly.
Yeah, no, me either. But so moving on, as with the last couple of years, you're starting to play more on the tour, including at least 9 or 10 elite and major events this year. How is that working for you at such a young age? You know, you're not old enough to rent a car. I'm not sure if you're still doing school or anything like that you have to balance. And deal with that sort of thing as well. So take me through the whole tour life experience as someone that is so young.
So the most important thing for me so far has, obviously just like learning what I can make without giving myself food poisoning. That's a good place. That's been an important place to start. So we've kind of figured that out. You know, sometimes you gotta be a little bit careful. But I definitely wouldn't recommend myself as a chef. But I know what to make. I know what to make to get through my day. So
ham and cheese sandwiches.
Ham and cheese sandwich. We got the PB&Js. I make a mean bowl of cereal. It's just
solid.
So just like, you know, all of the carbohydrates that are really easy to make. And then, you know, so that was important, but also finding my people on tour. Cole Rodon and I are really close friends, and he's somebody that I've known for a while, but didn't really get to know him until like Champions Cup when we were neighbors in our RVs. And we hung out a lot. And since then, it's been kind of like he's probably my closest friend on tour as of right now. So just finding people that enjoy doing the same stuff as you is important. Because there's a lot of downtime in the tour life. Like, you know, your job requires 4 to 5 hours a day on average, probably. But other than that, it's just putting together good social media posts, trying to grow the following. You know, and renting a car is an issue. It's tough. You know, I actually don't think I can do Airbnbs and stuff either. Or maybe it's hotels. It's hotels. I think I can do Airbnbs. I'm not entirely sure though. So, as far as tour life goes, it's obviously harder as a young adult, but I did finish up school, so that helps a lot. I can focus on disc golf now as my actual job and not just like the part-time thing. So I'm done with high school. But I mean, as far as this all goes, I think I've put together a pretty good system, and that's working for me. So, you know,
And
I have a lot of help from my parents too. My mom does a lot for me, finding good campsites and whatnot. So, and I'm super grateful to have my parents behind me in the way that they are, because I can't do this all by myself.
And it's great that there are so many players that are in the ballpark of your age as well, that have been doing it for a year or two already. And so there's, you know, you have peers that you can learn from and, you know, figure things out.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm close friends with I shouldn't say close friends. I'm friends with most of the people around my age. So it's, you know, it's great. Like I'm friends with Ty Love and Gannon and Cole and most of the Eagles Wings group. They're a bunch of really good people. So, and those are probably my people on tour. You know, those are a lot of people I enjoy hanging around. So, yeah.
And you're hanging around with a lot of them on coverage a lot more. How are you liking being on camera and playing on camera and the pressure of media?
You know, one of the wisest things that my friend from school said is that pressure is self-imposed. But I would be lying if I said I didn't feel the pressure when it's there. But I think I've gotten a lot more used to now I enjoy there being a gallery there. So it's like the thing that I've had to tell myself is, hey man, if you want to make this your job, if you want to win tournaments, if you want to get the big contracts, you need to learn how to play in front of an audience. Like, they're there to watch you play. So, like, and they honestly don't care if you throw one bad shot. You know, they don't care at all. They're gonna clap if it's good, and they're not gonna say anything if it's bad. So, just learning how to obviously try to get those feelings under control, because there have been times in the past where I don't. I remember the first time I was on Joe Moines last year at Preserve after playing an incredible first round. I just tried to shut everything out, and that didn't work. So there's a level, like, I enjoy interacting with people, even if they don't know who I am. So it's because it helps me to settle down. Like if there's a little kid and he wants my autograph, I'm gonna ask him what his name is. I'm gonna try to build something there. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, sure, man, have a good day. You know, like, I want to let the fans know that we appreciate them being out there. You know, without them, we wouldn't be here. So, it's just learning how to play under that pressure and finding what works for me. But I think I definitely handled it a lot better this year, and just tried to play it like it was any normal round, honestly. So yeah,
I think that really shows a lot of maturity. I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you.
I think that quote was pretty fantastic from your friend. The pressure is self-imposed. That is you said wise. That is a wise friend.
Sort of. That's funny. So
you're laughing. I'm guessing maybe not wise in all aspects of life, perhaps.
The floor is yours to completely drag your friend, if you will.
Please. You want to put the name out there too?
Put on blast.
On blast. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the Instagram handle? Let's do it.
He's not a disc golfer. He's just a dude I graduated with. I've known him since way back in the beginning. We played basketball together. We played baseball together. He's a great guy. But I probably wouldn't use wise as the word to describe him. I
guess he has his moments.
Yeah. Oh, he has a lot of really good moments and a lot of really dull moments. we all do though. So, you know, and that was one. And he obviously at the time he kind of said it as a joke, but I mean there is a lot of wisdom behind that. Like, you gotta, especially when there's cameras, you gotta learn how to turn it off and just play disc golf.
That's a 10 out of 10 saying there. Like, I think that's absolutely solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about So I was going to say, I don't know about Sean and Robbie, but like as you're saying this, I have like a person that I went to high school with that I'm now picturing. I feel like we all sort of have a friend like that, you know, you just sort of, I don't know if you like take for granted is the right way of phrasing it, but like you don't expect them to bust out those sort of wise, insightful comments. But then like once a month, they're like, yeah, Luke, all pressure is self-imposed. And you're like, damn, where did that come from, Spencer?
Right. I was that friend.
I can barely remember that I went to high school. It was a very long time ago.
We can't tell, Sean. I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
But we have been talking a fair bit tonight about the Preserve, which I think makes sense because you had that strong performance there. We've also been talking just amongst ourselves a fair bit in the group chat about the contrast between the Preserve and some of the other courses on tour. The Preserve being a little bit more of a birdie or die course. So not to like take the hardest right turn we've taken so far, but to take a super hard right turn from your friend who is occasionally wise. How do you like that sort of birdie or die style course that you're seeing at the Preserve versus of the other stuff that you see a little more often on tour?
Right. I think Kale has done a great job over the years of making it less and less of a birdie or die course in all the right ways. I think the changes he makes every year make it a lot better. The changes he made this year definitely made it play a little bit harder, I feel like. Only a couple changes, but I feel like they definitely made a difference. Because, I mean, obviously round one, like, it's out there to shoot really hot. And, like, you see that. But when the conditions aren't perfect like they were in rounds 2 and 3, you see the scores get a little bit higher. Round 1 was dead calm, beautiful day. People shot great. Round 2, a lot of the cards had to play in the rain, and I'm lucky to say that I didn't. And I feel bad for all the other cards because I've been that guy many, many times. But then round 3, it was much windier than all of the other days, and it was like, whoa, this is gonna make a difference, especially for me being somebody who's from Michigan, and there isn't always a ton of wind. I don't play in the wind a whole lot, which kind of sucks because on tour there's a lot of wind. But I don't know. I try to treat it like more of a normal course, you know, just kind of like I feel free out here. There's keeping that in mind, and like, because no matter what pro tour course you go to, you're gonna want to birdie 9 or 10 of the holes, pretty much every round, regardless. So, obviously out there, it's instead of shooting for that maybe 5 to 7 down range to just get in the top 20. You might want to be. My goal is to try to shoot 10 to 12 every round. And you know, the last round that didn't exactly happen. I got to 9, and I was pretty happy with that because it solidified a top 5. But you know, like, I will say it was a little bit different. I just wanted to get to 30 under at that point. So when I got to 30, I was pretty happy. But I don't know. I like Preserve. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a breather from the rest of the tour. But I'm looking forward to, I guess, being back on harder courses, you could say, to push the limits on courses I haven't done as well on the past. Des Moines was the only course I didn't cash at last year. And in practice, I was like, this course plays really well for me. And then I just went out and didn't play very good. So I'm looking forward to Des Moines a lot right now. I'm trying to see, 4 top 10s in a row would be crazy, but that's the goal right now. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, time to get your revenge on that course.
Yeah.
So also, I'm not sure your schedule. Are you planning on playing any Q Series events this year? And kind of going along with that, I'm not sure if you know, but in our neck of the woods, there's the Innova RIP tournament, which is happening. It's just east of Toronto. And I did a little Google Maps search before just to confirm. And from Toboggan for D-Glow to Smugs for GMC, the quickest route is to drive right by this course in Ontario to come up, and it's on the weekend in between both of them. So laying on a little bit of a sales pitch here for you to come up to Canada, and we'd love to see you up here. But just kind of in general, do you plan on playing any Q Series events? Do you have? I know I do see that you're registered for D-Glow and GMC. Do you plan on adding any more to that schedule? How's that going?
The plan right now is to hit up every Elite Series and Major in the U.S. for the rest of the season. So I'm going to be signing up for MVP here shortly, and I got my USDGC invite. And right now the rating, the points just updated. I'm ranked 38th in DGPT points, so not too far away from making it into the Tour Championship. So minus the really bad start at the beginning of the year, so the last 3 events have helped out tremendously in that. Right now, the reason that I say I can't go to Canada is if I do play an event that weekend, it will be the Butler County Classic in Pennsylvania, because that course is like 10 minutes from my cousin's house that I only get to see a few times a year. So if I do play an event, it will be that one, and I do feel a little bit bad saying that, but that would I wouldn't be.
I suppose that makes sense.
Not going to sacrifice family time for that, but I mean, sounds like fun. I'm sure the course is great up there. CCR Open is the only Q series I'm definitely going to be playing right now. I know there's a couple in Florida and one in South Carolina at the end of the year, but those are both kind of like maybes, pretty big question marks right now. They're big investments considering the end of the season will have already come at that point. So.
Just one little quick follow-up, being a guy from Michigan, being right across the border from us here in Ontario. Have you played any courses up here in Ontario before? Have you crossed the border for any disc golf before?
So my dad and I, on the way to Worlds last year in Smugs, we stayed one night in Canada and played, I don't even remember what it was called. It was a beautiful public park course though, and they didn't even have cement tee pads, but it was right on like this like canal river type deal next to a hotel, and like it honestly was gorgeous, and obviously it was a beautiful evening, so that helped. But it was great. So I've only ever played one course in Canada, but it was definitely a good experience, no doubt about that.
Nice. Awesome. We're going to be doing some investigative work after this to figure out what course you're talking about.
It's on the way from Shepherd, Michigan to Jeffersonville, Vermont.
So somewhere on that road trip that I mentioned
next
that you
to
could
a river.
Stop for.
I'm literally just like, I'm seeing Sean as that meme from The Hangover where Alan has all the numbers floating around inside of his head.
St. Julian's River's Edge in London, maybe? I wonder.
What is it called? There was like those things that spin on the ocean. I'm drawing a blank right now. They're like those towers. The lights, like in Finding Nemo.
Lighthouse.
Yes, lighthouse. There was a lighthouse somewhere in there.
Was it not far from the border?
It wasn't very far from the border, I don't think.
Probably to Kingsville, Tecumseh area. I think there's a course called Lighthouse down there. Something like that. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, you would have been near the...
It's on my UDisc profile.
Yeah,
probably.
Pretty sure
I kept score.
Nice. This has put Sean's brain into a total pickle.
Yeah,
I can see it through the camera right now.
Pretty sure I know that.
I wish I remembered what it was called.
Give me.
Well, either way, we'll have to get you up into Canada again at some point and check out some more courses.
There's like a tournament at Prince Edward Island somewhere.
If you ever get the chance to go to PEI and play the main course out there that a lot of people know is Hillcrest. It used to be number 3 in the UDisc world rankings for courses. It unfortunately, I was lucky enough to play it for Canadian Nationals in 2020, a week before a massive hurricane came through and decimated a whole bunch of the trees in the area. So they've had to rework the course, but it's designed by John Houck. And I believe they had him come up to do the redesign as well, and they've put in a bunch of work. So I haven't been back to play it again, but I'm sure they did a good job. And before the hurricane, it was without a doubt the best course that I personally have ever played. But I am the complete opposite of you, and I've never played anywhere in the States. I've only played in Canada. So my list is a little more limited, but I highly recommend if you can ever make it to PEI.
Gotcha. Grow up, Robbie.
So my hunch, just to get back to that, I think you might have played Lakewood Disc Golf Course in Tecumseh. That's going to be my guess. I think the home Chantal Badinsky.
I'll check later, and I will. If I remember, I'll try to send the course name to you guys. I think it's in my
Nice.
disc profile from last year.
Awesome.
So
Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, this isn't even just for the show. Like, Sean's just going to be useless for the rest of the week if he doesn't answer this question in his.
it's my fault. I forgot whatever it was called.
No, it's definitely Sean's fault.
So before we let you go, we really appreciate you giving us so much of your time. I know you had a practice round, I think earlier today, getting ready for I assume the Majestic.
Yes. Yep.
So we're starting a new thing to close out the show here on Miss Mando. 4 simple rapid fire questions. The first, you are stranded on the proverbial desert island and you can bring 3 things with you. What are you bringing?
See, this isn't going to be rapid fire because I'm going to have to think about this.
The gun is jamming on the rapid fire motion. Okay, that's okay.
Does the island have internet?
The island has no internet.
Okay, good. So that would have been a problem. I think I'm bringing food, water, and the Bible. It's more
There you
important.
go.
More important.
Like
More important than disc golf. So
I was surprised no Lunas, but okay.
I love my Luna, but this is a situation where you can't have it all. So
True.
a lifetime supply of food and water, so I don't starve to death, and
something to read.
Bible. Right.
And theoretically, you could fashion a disc out of a coconut or something. So
Right. I'll find out
fine.
some new disc technology somewhere along the way. Yeah.
Wise in your young years. Next one for you. What's your go-to karaoke song, or like something when you're road tripping between tournaments that just makes you rock it with the car?
Dude, I've been listening to a lot of Morgan Wallen right now. I'm in a Morgan Wallen phase, but I'm also in a worship phase. I don't know. That's a great question. Right now, probably, I don't even remember what the author's name is. It's really good though. It's called Walk with Jesus. I think the author's Consumed by Fire. It's a good Christian song. So that's the song that I'm learning / just singing by myself right now. But I do play a lot of country songs on my guitar. I play guitar, so
Cool.
Nice.
I do a lot of guitar country stuff because it's the easiest stuff to play on the guitar.
Heck yeah.
I dig it. I didn't listen to like any country, but my wife is a big country fan. And like at this point, we've been going out for like 8 years, so now I'm pretty much a country fan too. Just by proximity.
Morgan Wallen's got some good stuff right now. If you're looking for
He
some new
does.
country, so I don't
It's
know.
not a bit of a
Already
roll.
listen to it. He's doing great.
So what would you say for our next question here is your favorite place to stop for food? If you're going on a road trip, or like, if you're thinking sort of road trip style, it's not like a favorite restaurant, like a favorite type of food. Take this question whatever direction you want to go.
Gotcha. Favorite place to stop on the road for food? I have the McDonald's app, but that's not my favorite place to stop. I would. Popeyes makes a really good chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
They make a really
Sure do.
good chicken sandwich. The fate of the universe isn't on the line with this question, but I really gotta get this right.
It's important. I mean, this is
Right. No. There's just not enough Popeyes in this world. So I can't really
I think
be my
Lunkin' and
favorite.
Popeyes is a good call.
Well, it's close to Dairy Queen, and I love my ice cream. Dairy Queen Dairy Queen it is. After a round of disc golf, there's nothing better than going and getting my favorite
My
blizzard
man.
at Dairy Queen. So I'm
My
going
man.
Dairy Queen.
Last
Yeah.
question before we let you go. Dream card. Who are the 3 people you haven't played with yet that you would love to get on a card with?
past or present. Could be a legend.
Okay, that helps. I gotta play with Ken and Climo, I guess. I feel like
Yep.
I've never played with Ken, so
Mhm.
I've also never met Ken, but you gotta play with Ken and Climo. That I haven't played with yet. That makes it a lot harder, for sure. We'll say we're gonna go old school here. I'm gonna go Ken Climo, Avery Jenkins, and I want to pick one player from today that I haven't played with that I'm very interested to play with, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I played a lot with a lot of the guys on tour now. So we'll go Ken Climo, Avery Jenkins. And
Have you played with Canada and Ontario's own Thomas Gilbert yet? I don't know if you've played with him on a card, but he's our local boy on tour. Nice.
I played with him at MVP. I think I'm gonna go Ken Climo, Avery Jenkins, and then Nate Doss. We'll just go old school. I haven't played with any of those three guys, and those were my original idols growing up. So
like one of those old school DVDs you grew up watching.
Yeah. I got to watch all of them play back when they were the Paul Macbeths of that time. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us so much of your time. Do you have any shout outs to sponsors or anything that you want to give? If you do, the floor is yours.
I'll just rattle them off. I'd like to thank all of my sponsors: Discraft, Great Lakes Discs, Mitten Bags, Beast Disc Golf, Putt Confidently, Keizu Bullion. Shout out my hometown, shout out my family. Wouldn't be here without the people back home. I'd like to thank you guys for having me on here. I appreciated the offer to be on a podcast, and I'm happy that I was able to join you guys this evening. You guys seem like a bunch of great guys who love the game, so that's awesome.
Except for Robbie.
Oh, that's sad.
I didn't even hear what Galen said, to be honest.
To get a jab in at one of my co-hosts, I'm going to take.
Yeah. That's how we roll here.
And shout out Toronto. Wish I could come up there to play, but
Yeah.
can't this year. But
Anytime you want, we'll show you around.
All right, sounds good. But thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Love it. Well, Luke, thank you so much again for joining us. We'll definitely be watching you at Des Moines in a week. Hopefully see you on some more coverage. And I'm speaking for myself, but I'm assuming for both of my co-hosts as well, you've definitely got some new fans here out of us. This was great to have you on the show. So thank you so much again for joining.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I thank you, all three of you guys. Like I said, great guys, good people. And I almost forgot. Shout out to the man upstairs. All glory and praise to him. I wouldn't be here without him. I actually wouldn't be alive without him. So, in a more broader sense too. So thank you to him. But yeah, thanks guys. I do appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, this has been Luke Taylor with us, and we will be right back on Missed Mando. And welcome back to Missed Mando. Thank you once again to Luke for joining us. So awesome to have him on the pod, eh, guys?
The best.
What I'm constantly impressed with this young crop of players and how, frankly, mature they are, and their approach to the game. It's like they've been playing for 20 years or something like that, and they haven't been alive for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like hearing Luke talk about his approach to the game, and in particular the mental game, and it's like, you know, when you hear Gannon talking about the game, it's very similar. Really impressive. And it was awesome for him to join us. We really appreciated it.
Yeah. He is. Go ahead, Galen.
I was going to say, I just want to be stuck on a deserted island with him to try to figure out what we're going to make a disc out of. You know, food, water, the Bible. Totally on board. I get it. But how are we going to figure out disc golf? I want to know what materials we're using, how we're, making them into a disc. Let's figure that out.
I like your priorities here, Galen.
My wheels are turning.
Yeah, it was awesome to have Luke on. I definitely am a big fan of him, and he's got a bright future ahead in this sport for sure, no doubt. And we're going to send it off to another interview, this time with more of a veteran of the tour scene. She's still not that old, as you'll hear in the in one of our questions in the interview, but she is a vet, and we are super excited to have her on. Another player coming off of a great performance at last weekend's Preserve, Rebecca Cox. So we will be right back on Missed Mando with Rebecca. And welcome back to Missed Mando. Our next guest joined the PDGA in 2007 and turned pro in 2011, dominating in the Ohio area and racking up 20 wins by 2016, including going perfect 6-4-6 in tournaments in 2016. In 2017, she made her national tour and major debuts and has been a staple on tour ever since, collecting 44 top 10 finishes at Elite Series and major events in that time, including third at the USW DGC and Tour Championship in 2019. She has had a fantastic start to 2024 with a 9.5 average finish, her highest since 2019. And even though we're only in June, she has already set her highest cash earned in a single season for her career. Coming off of her first podium finish since the 2021 Texas States with a third place at last weekend's Preserve, it's a pleasure to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast from Cincinnati, Ohio, Rebecca Cox. Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. So I'll jump right into it with the Preserve. Last year at the Preserve, you had a scorching start with a 1,000+ rated first round to tie for second, but then kind of struggled in the next two rounds to drop to a tie for 24th. But this year you started strong and got stronger, going -2, -5, -5. For the highest event average of your career of 986 over those three rounds. What is it about the course that brings out the best for you, and what did it take to bring the consistency this year to have such a great finish?
Gosh, I feel like that course just really plays well to my game, just naturally. I don't feel like I'm working super hard to put myself in position or to score on any of the holes. It's like a combination of longer open holes, and then there's like a few tight wooded holes, which is more of my specialty, I guess. But also, the Preserve tournament is the tournament where I started using my new run-up form, like committing to that. So that's kind of like a special spot for me too, because I just get to see how far my game has come since then.
So the Preserve has a reputation of being a bit of a birdie or die course. How do you like that style? Are you liking sort of maybe a little bit of as some variety on the tour, mix it up a little bit?
Oh yeah, I really like that type of course. I like having opportunities on every hole. I like how our division has a chance to shoot those like double digit under par type of rounds that you see in MPO all the time. And yeah, just it feels nice to be able to score on a course like that, because it does feel like you're losing a stroke when you even get par on. You know, some of them are just like, I really don't feel good about taking the par here. So yeah, having that kind of like high caliber birdie or die course is fun.
Thought it was the layout is well suited to the sort of the FPO field.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Especially you don't have to throw super far to play well there. The distance obviously not. But I feel like any woman could play well if she's having a good day.
Love that. And you mentioned that we mentioned that Preserve was your highest rated event ever, but you've also got 6 of your top 10 highest rated events this season, as well as 3 of your top 5 highest rated rounds ever. You mentioned a new run-up form. I was curious what you've been working on over the last couple months, the last year that's been paying off. Is it that new run-up that comes first to mind, or any other things you want to highlight do you feel like are really clicking to you right now?
Well, the run-up form was my step into like improving my game, and I did that a good 3 or 4 years ago. So now it's just been like getting the reps in and getting more comfortable with it and just adjusting to the new distance that I have. But most recently, I have been, I developed a really good putt in the off season. So I even like have been tweaking a bit throughout the season. But I feel like my putting and my mental game is really what has pushed my game to where it is right now.
So far this season, you're one of only 8 players on tour to have a 100% top 20 percentage. And in your last 4 events, you've finished 9th, 7th, 5th, and now 3rd. So with those stats and that trend, getting 2 places better each time, should we be locking you in as our pick for the win at Des Moines coming up? Last year you finished 15th. Are you looking at the course differently this year to knock some strokes off?
Yeah, I definitely think I'll be looking at the course differently. At Preserve, I was very aggressive, and I've always been like a more conservative, like, don't risk it too much type of player. But at Preserve, I really feel like I was a lot more comfortable being really aggressive. So I think Des Moines is just another one of those courses where if you're throwing that good stock shot in your bag and you're doing it well, you can score really well there. So, I'm just going to be looking to be super aggressive there and do what I can do.
So in each of the last 3 years, you've signed 1-year contracts with Latitude. I presume that's going real well. And hopefully with how you've been just scorching this season, they're going to be looking to maybe drop off the big burlap sack of money with the $sign on the outside. Are you how's the relationship working with Latitude? Have you noticed anything different now that they're with House of Discs?
I haven't noticed too much on my side, to be honest. We had Seth Fenley hired on to kind of be the team manager for a while, and I've loved that because most of my communication has been through Sweden and the employees over there, which is fine and all, but there's like the time difference and they have like different vacations and stuff like that. So it was awesome to have Seth on, the American side taking care of things. And yeah, the relationship has been great. They've been supporting me for, I think this is my 7th season with them now. And they've been with me throughout my entire game form change and everything like that. So everything's been great.
Were they your first manufacturer sponsor?
No, actually just Path.
Okay. Screw those guys. Not if we.
Sean, no, screw those guys. It'd be nice. While not being mean to other disc manufacturers, you started talking about this earlier, not having seen it in the bag video from you in a little bit. What are you bagging these days and enjoying? What do you look for in a Tour Series disc? We know this year you've got the Orbit Sapphire, last year the Orbit Glory. Anything about those discs that you want to give a little bit of love to, or any discs that you just feel are really doing exactly what you need and you're loving this year?
I guess I'll start out with my signature disc this year. I have an Orbit Sapphire. It's a 10-speed. It's really beginner friendly. That's part of the reason why I chose it, is because, the Glory was great. But it wasn't a disc that I use very often because it is very, very stable and it takes a while for it to beat in. So I wanted something that I felt would be a better disc for more beginners to use, because I didn't, I don't know. It's something to sit right with me with like having, like if I had a box of my signature disc in my car, like I was like not comfortable giving those away to just new beginners, because I'm like, I don't want to scare them off with like, the super overstable disc that isn't going to go anywhere for them. Yeah, right. So yeah, the Sapphire is something that I actually started bagging pretty recently, probably right before it became my signature disc. And gosh, I love it. I've been using it almost at every event. I used it at Preserve a good few times. It was great for when I won in distance, but I didn't want to work as hard like this race or something. And then let's see, other discs. I threw the Lucidity Vader a lot. It's a really glidey 7-speed, pretty neutral to slightly overstable. So it was perfect for those just dead straight shots that I needed. And then I was throwing the Grace a lot over too. Just easy distance.
Yeah, I was actually playing on a card earlier tonight with somebody that threw an evader off of like at least half the tees. He had like a really like gorgeous yellow one that he must have thrown at least 9 or 10 times and was flying well for him. So love it.
So, switching gears a little bit, I know I'm pretty sure both of my co-hosts here got into disc golf, like really got into disc golf. I think Galen like picked up a disc when he was really young. Anyways, besides the point, I've been in disc golf for a while, and I remember when I was getting back into disc golf in around 2016, 2017, and I can remember seeing you starting to pop up on coverage as you were getting yourself more on tour, and I remember seeing you at that 2019 Tour Championship where you were able to get third. So as someone who has been in the disc golf game for so long, I mean, your dad started teaching you when you were really young. I think I remember reading somewhere that it was 8 years old when you started to learn and really play. So as someone who has that much experience in disc golf and, over a decade of experience in the FPO field, what are your thoughts on the current state of the sport and specifically the FPO division with the talent and field sizes higher than ever?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. I started in 2017. I think that was also the first year that the Disc Golf Pro Tour started, so it's relatively small. I remember, signing up for a tournament and it had a field of 24 women, and that was like huge back then. That was like, wow, 24 women, that must be a record or something. But since then, I remember I would get a lot of exposure, like media-wise and stuff like that, from getting a lot of top 5 finishes or just showing up pretty much and playing decently well. Nowadays, I feel like you really need to be in the spotlight, top 3 consistently for the media to really shout you out, which has been so crazy. That just this week, I feel like the Disc Golf Pro Tour is like, I'm getting sick of seeing on their Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not used to them like shouting me out this much, and it's been just really surreal and really cool to, kind of reap the rewards of playing well at a tournament. That's just like a naturally positive thing that happens after that. But with the field the way it is nowadays, man, it's like almost night and day, I would say, from when I started to where I am now, which is why it was so crucial for me to work on my game, because I could see myself like, falling behind with my old form, and I just couldn't do all that. So, and especially now with like the 1,000 ratings, I mean, obviously Kristen Starr being the first to do it, that just shows you like how far we've come in such a short period of time. And now like 1,000 rated rounds aren't like, whoa, Paige Pierce shot 1,000 rated round. That's like, that almost never happens. It's like consistently every tournament now we're seeing these 1,000 ratings, and gosh, it just keeps getting better and better. And I really feel like we're just going to keep pushing the game past even what we think now is possible.
I think the first 5 or 6 events of the year, the FPO winner averaged more than 1,000 for the tournament. Like which is even in just compared to the 1 year, the same events a year earlier. Like that's a really big jump. Like it's awesome to see the field just sort of pushing each other and getting better and better. And you're absolutely, riding that wave near the top as well.
I just had one little follow up from that question, and I want to preface this by saying that this question might be worded in a way that makes Rebecca sound old. She is not old. I'm pretty sure that you are still under 30. You just started touring when you were 20 years old, or younger. So it's still young, but you have all this. You have all this experience on tour, and you've been on coverage for years at this point now. Have you had any cool moments with someone, a young and up and comer on the tour that might has come up to you and said, like, hey, I watched you on coverage, like when I was getting into the sport, and now I'm here playing with you. Have you had any cool experiences like that being a veteran on tour?
Gosh, not really yet with anybody like I've played with. I've certainly met a bunch of people who told me that they started playing because I was playing, and that always just blows my mind, because you kind of forget about like the impact that you have on the real world when you're kind of stuck in your own little microcosm. And man, I haven't played with anybody like that yet. I have been playing for a while, but I haven't. Nathan Queen and I actually did commentary at the U.S. Women's Tournament this year on the junior division, and it just that blew my mind, just seeing how good they are now. Like, gosh, I don't think I would have stood a chance when I was their age. If I had been playing with them, they're just so good. They're like going for these. They're playing smart golf. They're going for these huge putts, and it's like, we're the people that they're looking up to, and it's just really wild to see how everything has just come along over the years.
But yeah, there's an 11-year-old at like my local club that I'm like, I don't know what our ratings are, but I'm convinced is better than me. And he's also like 4 feet tall. It's insane how good some of these kids are. And you guys are probably laughing, thinking of who it is I'm talking about, little Ricky. Sergio Diaz-Yata, who goes by Ricky in honor of Ricky Wysocki, is like just this little compact bundle of disc golf talent. And it's like crazy to see these kids coming up, because I'm having a hard enough time keeping up with them as somebody who is like an adult and been playing for a couple of years now. So changing gears again a little bit, looking at your tour schedule, I see that you're not going to be jumping across the pond to play in the European Open. I imagine, it's a pretty big financial commitment. It's also a large disruption, I have to imagine, with travel, a time change, sort of throwing you out of your routine. Anything that led you to go in a different direction and opt out this year?
Well, yes, the whole traveling, I did it last year. I had a lot of fun in Europe, but man, that travel kicked my booty. That was like so uncomfortable. Like, my body was so tired, and just adjusting to the time change was a lot of work. But besides that, I am saving up for a new tour vehicle, kind of just something bigger than what I have now. And also, Worlds is going to be in Europe next year, so I feel like a lot of people are kind of just saving their money to return next year and kind of do their Europe swing then. So I think I'm going to be part of that group.
Nice. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you can't underrate the travel aspect. I mean, when I'm not playing or watching disc golf, I'm watching a lot of hockey. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are my local team, signed a player this year whose career has now ended because of an injury that was aggravated by a long flight from North America to Europe. Like, literally, this guy had this chronic condition. I forget what now. I want to say it was his back, John Klingberg. But he was able to manage it relatively fine one day, and it was in an airplane for 8, 9, 10 hours, and it just aggravated that injury to the extent that, like, he can't play professional hockey anymore. So, like, I don't imagine this is something to that extent at all. But, like, I think people underestimate going on a flight of that duration, like, adjusting to a time change of that magnitude, and, like, the financial commitment, how much that can sort of wreak havoc on, especially people like professional athletes like yourself that are so, I would imagine, routine oriented. It makes sense to me.
I'm assuming that Latitude's sending the corporate jet next year and bringing the team over first class. Yeah, absolutely. I have to assume that that's going to be the case. I noticed, speaking of your schedule, I noticed that you're playing a Q series in Kansas. I'm not sure. This is a question that we're asking all of our pro guests. Not sure if you know, but there's a Q series here in Ontario, an hour from Toronto, called the Innova RIP. Was previously called the Diameter Open. It's conveniently located on the driving route from D-Glow to the GMC. It's right on the way. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm sure there's space in FBO. I'm sure that the TD, our friend Daryl, would absolutely love to have someone of your caliber come play that event. So I'm just throwing it out there. I hope you've got your passport with you. And we would absolutely love to have you at that Q Series event on your way to Vermont. Throwing it out there.
I do have my passport, so you might have to check it out.
Nathan, I'm sure we can make room for Nathan as well.
I don't think he has.
He can take the long way around.
Leave it behind. Yeah.
Yeah, just drop them off on your way across the border. Have it, hitchhike to where you're going to come back across.
He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So before we let you go, and we're super thankful for your time, and thank you so much for joining us. We've started a new thing on the podcast recently, a way to kind of end our interviews with a little bit of a rapid fire sort of thing. So we've got 4 questions for you, just as quick as you want. First thing that comes to your mind for any of these, and the first one that I've got for you. You're stranded on an island. You can bring 3 items with you. What 3 items are you bringing?
3 items? Oh, gosh. This is still like a survival question? Okay.
Or not, just a comfort question.
I'm going to say a book and a knife.
Nice.
And
Always.
You know what? I'm going to take a distance too.
Hell yeah.
You can use it as a plate. You can drink from it.
Like if you're thinking this,
that is 3-dimensional thinking.
Love it. I also love how quickly you went from book to knife. That was just the contrast of that was awesome.
It's just practical.
Of the essentials,
Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna be whittling a little basket so she can play get some rounds in, set up in her course.
Exactly.
Putting practice.
Tell you disc. Totally.
Yeah, like coconut basket, vines for chains. Yeah. I'm picturing it. Okay, not on a desert island. Or maybe on a desert island. I don't know. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh Lord. You know what? I'm gonna have to go real basic because I sang it for my on my 21st birthday. It was girls just gotta have fun.
Yeah,
solid. That is a good answer.
Girls just want to have fun. Yep.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong with the classics. There's a great documentary streaming about Cyndi Lauper and sort of the origin of that album. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's on Paramount. Strong recommend.
I also got to shout out the Nicki Minaj remix, Pink Friday Girls. Check it out. Ooh. I mean, I'm on a nostalgic, like people remixing like songs from like the 90s and early 2000s with like I don't know, a new rap verse or something on it, and that is first and foremost on that pile.
As an old, I'm glad you didn't say from the late 1900s on that one.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was born in the 1900s, so
yeah, we're now at a point where people are saying like, oh yeah, like in the 10s. In the early 20s? I'm like, excuse me? You mean the 1920s? What are we talking about here?
Oh, my sweet summer child. So you're on tour. You're driving around a lot. What is your go-to place to stop for food on a road trip? On this long road trip called the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You see the light in the distance, the sign. What sign is that?
Bojangles.
Nice. Solid Solid pick.
Bojangles is so good, but it's only in like the South. In like there's a few in
Pennsylvania, I
Texas.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Sorry,
But,
for the uninitiated like myself, what is Bojangles? I'm very intrigued.
God.
it's like, gosh, it's just like a chicken place down south, but it's delicious.
Yep, sold.
And they have really good breakfast biscuits, and their fries are delicious, and their fried chicken, all of it. It's just super good.
It's so good. It's really good.
I used to live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I miss it.
I'm gonna plan my road trip post haste because I'm tempted by Bojangles now.
Last one that I got. Yeah, no, I need to make that trip too. Last one that I got for you here, Rebecca. 3 people to build your ultimate dream card. Who are you picking? This could be past or present.
Okay, so FPO only, huh? Okay.
It could be. I'll let you take it however you want.
You jump at
Anybody you want.
That's fine.
You know what? I'm going to do FPO. I'm going to say, gosh, dream card. I'm going to say Owen Scoggins.
Nice. Vibes will be high.
Raven Klein.
Mm-hmm. Get some homies.
Yeah. Canadian
Stop
national
forgetting.
champion Raven Klein.
Every person I've ever played with.
Or someone you haven't played with that you would think would be awesome to play with.
I haven't
Some of the
played with?
classics from the original, the first era, maybe.
Ooh, Valerie. Doff.
Valerie.
Nice.
Absolute.
Yeah.
solid.
I haven't played with her in a long time.
I want to watch this card on coverage. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to play with this card, but I'd be left in the dust.
Oh no, you'd be
Annoying
yeah.
everyone with my bad throws. So
Yeah.
I want to watch the card from a distance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that about does it, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us so much of your time. Just wanted to give you the floor. Do you have any shout outs, whether it's sponsors, people in your lives, anything that you want to give a little bit of attention before we let you go? The floor is all yours.
Okay. Shout out my sponsors, obviously Latitude64. There's Local Line Apparel. They make these really cool jerseys, socks, and towels for me. Whale Stack. Everybody knows what whale stacks are.
Well, yeah.
And you know what? I'll go ahead and shout out my dad. He's probably going to be watching this. What's up, Dad? Thank you for teaching me how to play disc golf. I wouldn't be where I am today without you.
Hi, Dad. Love that. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we are going to be looking for you on the podium again in Des Moines next week. Thank you so much, Rebecca. We will be right back on Miss Mando.
And welcome back to Miss Mando. Thank you so much to Rebecca Cox for joining us. What an amazing interview, and just, I want to say legend of the game, just because as long as I've been following disc golf, she has been there on tour. She is a vet and just a awesome person. That was an awesome interview. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was the best. You know, Luke was sort of talking earlier about, watching DVDs of people when he was growing up, and I'm sure there are lots of girls and boys watching Rebecca, or who watched Rebecca while growing up. And something I made a mental note to mention, but I guess just it's been a long day and I was tired. Like, love seeing representation at the highest level of sport from people of color too. I mean, there are a lot of sports that are sort of have one color, and seeing somebody like her, if you're somebody that looks like her, perform at that highest level has to be special. So super cool to see her on, and I'm sure there are a ton of little ones out there that have seen or will see or are seeing her and going, that's so cool. I wish I could be like her.
Absolutely. She is one of the stars of the tour, and it's great to see that she's now getting those finishes that we all knew that she was capable of. And this year, she is going to absolutely keep crushing it and just keep smoking it and cashing those big checks, and absolutely here for it. Love to see it.
Heck yeah. I didn't bring it up in the interview, but in we mentioned a few times that she's currently having her best season, like average finish wise, since 2019, where she averaged like 7 point something or 8 point something. And then over the last few years, that's gone up into like the 20s. So now to see her back in that, you know, single digits range again of terms of average finish is really awesome to see. And, you know, and I'm sure you guys will agree with this sentiment. I'll definitely be rooting her on, for the rest of this season for sure. And moving forward. But, what do you guys say we move on to some of our Pro Tour recaps and eventually get into some recaps of how, our guests, this evening, how they did at their recent tournament. But we will start by taking a jump across the pond for another European Pro Tour event, this time in Turku, Finland, for the Turku Open. In FPO, after back-to-back DGPT silver event wins, Silva Saarinen makes it 3 in a row and now gets her first career Elite Series win, winning by 2 strokes over Evelina Salonen and 3 over Henna Blomroos. In her last 5 events, going back to Champions Cup, Silva has finished 4th, 3rd, first. Pretty good stretch of tournaments there, I would say. Over in MPO, Nicholas Antala mounted a furious comeback, going 9 under in the final 10 holes of the tournament to erase a 5-stroke deficit and win by 2 strokes over James Proctor, with Mauri Vilman finishing in 3rd. With his second Elite Series victory of his career and the season, Nicholas is now the 36th player in history to have multiple MPO major or Elite Series wins, and ties some big names in total wins on that list, including Drew Gibson, Nate Sexton, and former world champ Eric McCabe. Galen, let's send it over to you for a recap of our picks, and you can tell me how good I am at this little game that we play.
Yeah, try not to be so smug over there, buddy. So last time for the viewers, mostly for Sean, I had to explain we had some really advanced mathematics we were doing. So Robbie, he picked Silva Saarinen and Nicholas Antala, who finished first respectively in FPO and MPO. So 1 and 1 is 2.
I am the smartest person alive.
And you get 1. So an average pick performance of 1, I think, is pretty good. Sean had Rachel Turton try to pull off the back-to-back victory. Not quite, but finished in 6th. A pretty strong showing. And James Proctor on the MPO side, who was well-positioned, as we were just saying, but unfortunately, I was going to say Lowry. I wish Lowry, because we're going to get to my picks in a second. Unfortunately, Nicholas came chugging on past and finished in 1st. So James finished in 2nd. So 6th and 2nd for Sean. And not necessarily my hottest weekend of picks. I had Henna Blomroos on the FPO side. She finished 3rd. That was pretty respectable. And I had Lauri Lettinen on the MPO side. A bit of a tough weekend for him, finishing down in 20th. So not to make anybody do any advanced math, I'm not going to dig too much into that. Robbie, I guess you had the best pick choices for this week, taking first on both sides. Very well done, my friend.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I think it's the first time I've done that all year, so it's not like I'm for anyone that listens to other disc golf podcasts. I mean, obviously we're the best disc golf podcast, but for anybody that listens to others and might listen to the Upshot, Charlie Eisenhood is on a freakish heater right now, and I think is on like 4 straight tournaments of picking the MPO and FPO winner for 4 straight events. So you know, maybe I can keep it going, but as we will find out right now, as we move on to the next tournament, I didn't keep it going. But let's jump in to the breakdown of the Preserve Championship. And Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you to recap this one.
One of the favorite tournaments of touring pros went down this past weekend with the 5th annual Preserve Championship in Clearwater, Minnesota. This course is known as one of the easiest on tour, and it is a total birdie or die fest. In the final half of the final round in MPO, it felt like there were like a half dozen players still solidly in contention to take it down. Like Matty O he made a huge charge, shooting the hot round with a minus 12, 1069. But in the end, that was only good enough to tie for third with Isaac Robinson. Isaac, he had, Isaac, he had an unfortunate double bogey on 13, and he still fought back, and he was tied at one point, but ultimately it sort of sealed his fate on the course, and going OB on 18 while trying for the eagle was definitely the nail in the coffin. Kyle Klein had his best finish since the Open at Austin, when he also finished second, and came close to a playoff, like really close, but on hole 17, one of the easier holes on the course, just a straight classic tunnel, tree-lined tunnel. He had an unfortunate left side kick, and it kicked OB, and he ended up taking a bogey on that hole when Ricky took a birdie, and carding the eagle on 18 wasn't enough, because in the end it was Raptor Legs himself, Ricky Wysocki, who took down the win, going back to back in the event. This was his first win, I think, since last year's event, and ending that 1 year drought, including the layup for the win. He finished with a 3-round total of minus 34, which was good enough for a 1065 average. And this win extends his streak to 14 straight years with an Elite Series or major victory, which is a PDGA record in MPO.
Just one little quick additive to that stat.
Yeah.
Paul Macbeth, if he can get a win this year, will tie that record. He's currently on the same winning streak. It started in the same year as Ricky. He's gotten a win every single year, except for this year so far. So if Macbeth can pull off a win, an Elite Series or major win, he'll tie that record. But currently, Ricky has the sole lead, and I don't know. I was looking for Macbeth, but knowing Macbeth, maybe that'll light a fire under his ass to really push so that Ricky doesn't have that sole record.
I mean, you can't count him out, but as we've said before, can you count him in? I don't know. Mind you, I think that I was the one who said that, and I said it about Ricky Wysocki. And so, yeah, apparently you can count him in. What do you know?
Yeah. Also, just a little stat correction on you there. It's his first win since actually the Pro Tour Championship at the very end of last season. So his first Elite Series, I guess.
Elite major.
But no. The Pro Tour is actually listed. I'm just looking at it now. It's listed as an Elite Series.
Is it?
Yeah. It's not listed as a major. It's not I know it used to be like an X A tier is what they used to classify it as, like an exhibition type thing. But yeah, it's actually listed as a full Elite Series event on PDGA. But his win before that was the Preserve. So yeah, he watching him play that course, it's like he designed it to be perfect for his game. Like, was it the Fortress hole? Is it 13? I think last year he drained the like that huge putt, monster putt. This year he just misses the Fortress, comes up a little bit short, and again from down below launches it up and drains an amazing putt. Like, this was such a fun tournament to watch, and Ricky was a big part of that. Strong recommend at least catching it on Jomez for post. But if you have access to the DGN full stream, like, it's worth watching because it's fantastic. And you'll see new friend of the show Luke Taylor on coverage as well a bunch of times on the Chase board. Over at FPO, it was big money Missy. She took it down from start to finish, ending up at the top of her division at the end of each round.
she didn't take a bogey until hole 15 in round 2. Her first round was an amazing 1037 rated -10. Now Holland Handley, she was pressing her hard throughout, and at one point she took the lead a little bit, but no. Missy was like, I don't think so. And at the end of each round, Holland was right there in second place by 2 strokes every round. Unfortunately for Holland, she took a double bogey on 15 and 13 and on hole 15 in round 3, and that was the end of that. With this win, Missy remains undefeated when entering the final round with a lead, and it doesn't matter if she has that lead outright or she's tied, so long as it's at an elite series or a major. She is a perfect 6 for 6. Rounding out the podium in third place was new friend of the show and our interview from tonight, Rebecca Cox, and we extensively covered her fantastic tournament in the interview that we just listened to. So, boys, what do you think about the Preserve and its birdie or die format? Do you enjoy watching that kind of golf? For me, I loved it. I thought this was maybe the best tournament of the year to watch so far, because it was, you didn't know what was going to happen. You had to nail every shot every single time. There was no room for error, because if you didn't get a birdie, everybody else did, and you're not getting it back. What did you think?
Yeah, it's been it's a nice change up in the tour schedule from what we're used to, and I couldn't agree with you more about it being like one of the better tournaments to watch this year, because it was so exciting down the stretch. There were so many people that were in the hunt in MPO that it was, you didn't know who was going to win down the stretch. I mean, even with a couple holes left, it still could have went so many different ways, and that's what I want in the finish of a disc golf tournament. I want multiple people in the hunt, and I do love the finish of this property, the eagle opportunity, or for some people it's almost like an eagle guarantee, basically, for some of the top pros. But being able to have that, ability for 2 or 3 strokes to swing on the final hole is incredible for the drama, and I absolutely loved it. And we heard in our interview with Luke that he mentioned Cale has done an amazing job with this property in terms of making it less of truly like birdie or die out there, but it is still one of the easier scoring courses that you're going to have all year on tour. Like you said, Sean, it was 34 under over 3 rounds was Ricky's final score, like averaging over 11 under around 11.33 if I'm doing quick math in my brain properly. Probably not, but yeah, I loved it. I don't need to ramble on anymore here. Let's throw it over to you, Galen. What did you think?
Yeah, unlike Led Zeppelin, I will not ramble on either. I share your feedback, Robbie. I loved it. I mean, for me, I think there's been a lot of discourse in recent years about how, as a sport, do we evolve to the increasing capacity and skill level of the field? Do we make the courses harder and harder and have it be almost like an arms race? Do we allow the pros to score, to rack up these crazy, neg 34 in 3 round scores? And I think probably, just sort of at a higher level, there's a little bit more of the former than the latter of let's make these courses as challenging as possible so that it's tougher to rack up these massive scores. And I do like that. But I think it's nice to see tournaments like this mixed into where you can see pros, just going off for a couple of rounds of incredible scoring. And so yeah, big fan of having stops like this on tour 100%.
Couldn't agree more, Galen. Let's keep it with you, my friend, and jump into our picks breakdown from the Preserve.
Sure, buddy. Go ahead, Sean.
Do we have to? We don't. We don't have to do the picks.
Well, I think what we're all thinking right now is this was a massive, massive fall from grace, a really disappointing trajectory for Robbie. So last tournament, Robbie had the first overall choice on FPO, first overall on MPO, and unfortunately, his pick performance on the FPO side doubled. So we had Holland Hanley, who finished in second place, and Ricky taking it down in number one. So
close.
Three of the four open winners of the last two tournaments and a second place to boot. You are on fire, buddy. I want to see how the next couple go for you. Sean, unfortunately, a little bit tougher of a time. Paige Pierce coming in at 21, which is a number I have a bit of fondness for as somebody that plays some poker and plays some blackjack from time to time. And Cole Redolin on the MPO side finishing tied 17th. And I had Onsgoggins and Gannon Burr both T5, tied at 5th. So I feel okay about my choices. Want to keep the good times rolling and maybe upgrade a little bit as we move forward. But we're doing okay at T5, and we'll see where we can go from here.
Remind me, wasn't this the tournament where we stole your picks last week?
It was, and then it actually worked out okay.
Horrible.
Because my picks would have been Holland and Cole. I would have had 2nd and 17th, and 5th and 5th is a little bit better than that. Not much, but a little bit.
I have to say, after round one, I was feeling pretty good. Cole Redolin tied for first with a neg 14.
Crazy.
1079 rated. He gets the eagle, he gets one bogey, and then 3 pars, and the rest were birdies. I was thinking, yeah, I'm pretty set. Let's go. And then, not so much in round two. He kind of only shot, a neg 2, and just plummeted down the leaderboard, and that was the end of it for me. I was, I want to know who you're picking this week so I can steal them.
I don't know if you can tell, but I didn't add anybody in our show notes because I don't trust you two anymore.
That's
fixed right up here under lock and key. And as my dear friend Robbie Holden would say, let's keep this train chugging, conductor, and move on to some Pro Tour previews. We have the Swedish Open, the tour heading over to Europe next weekend. This year, the event is going to see players from 14 countries, including as far away as Australia. Going to have a very strong American delegation for MPO as part of those 14 countries. We got Paul Macbeth, we got Ricky Wysocki, we got the robot himself, Calvin Heimberg, and others that will all be there. On the FPO side, though, only 2 Americans, including Ella Hansen, but a strong European contingent, including Evelina Salonen, Silva Saarinen, Kristen Tatar, unfortunately still recovering and sitting this event out. But Evelina, Silva, Henna Blomroos, a pretty stacked European field on the FPO side. So let's get into some picks here. I'm going to throw to you first, Robbie, and we'll go to Sean after. Robbie, who do you have for your choices here for our Swedish Open?
Boom. Well, on FPO, I think I'm pretty well locked in. I'm going to take, I don't know, did you mention the last year's winners in that intro? I don't think you did.
I don't want to give you any more information than I have to.
Well, it's all right, because I have
it. I refuse to tell you anything that will be even remotely useful.
I have it right in front of my face, and I can tell you myself that last year's winners were Silva Saarinen and Paul Macbeth, who went over for his European swing last year. This, of course, wasn't on the Pro Tour last year, but has been elevated this year. So on the FPO side, I'm going for the back-to-back champ. I'm going with Silva Saarinen again. She did well for me in the last event that I picked her in a good field that had Henna Blomroos and Evelina Salonen in it. Those are the 2 highest-rated players in the field again for this event, with Ella Hansen being the only other player higher rated than Silva. But Silva in Europe is like borderline unstoppable in the last 2 years. So I'm going to go with Silva Saarinen again. And in the MPO side, I've been killing time a little bit here, talking about FPO and going over some more names. But I think I am just going to keep it simple, and I'm actually just going to rinse and repeat my winners from the Turku Open, and I'm going to go with Nicholas Antila as well. Not the highest rated. Actually, I just realized that makes me, so I'm taking the 4th highest rated in both fields.
Very interesting. I'm curious about this strategy of yours. Okay. Silva Saarinen, Nicholas Antila. Sean, you are on the clock.
My MPO pick, he has been hanging out in Europe for a little bit. He's acclimated to the time change. I'm just going to go top of the field, Calvin Heimberg. He's going to put that time to good use that he skipped the preserve for. Over in FPO, I am going to be extremely unoriginal, and I'm going to go Evelina Salonen. I'm just going to go chalk, top player rating in both divisions. Boring as hell. I need to make up some ground here. Galen, who are you going for?
I kind of love that. I mean, it almost worked for me last week, but Robbie had to go 1 and 2. But no, I dig it. I've gone back and forth on the FPO side. My heart really wants to see Ella Hansen take a big tournament like this down. Bounce it around. I mean, we've got Hannah, we've got Heidi Line, we've got Lucky Lorentzen. I don't know what it is. I can't put a finger on it. Maybe it's the fact that despite my complexion, I'm part Norwegian. I'm going to go with a nickname that I'm trying to coin, the Skywalker, Anakin Steen. I like her to take down the FPO side. And I like that I am pissing off Sean every time that I say something that's like vaguely dad jokish. So I'm going to keep it up as much as I can. And I am also killing time. And that's actually, I'm going to continue to kill time by saying I didn't realize that was how her last name was pronounced, given that it's spelled the same as my favorite Leaf growing up, Alexander Steen.
Yeah.
With the L-E, but okay.
I made that mistake too when she first got on coverage, and I was saying Steen, and then I heard her in an interview say it another way, so I was changed.
Yeah, just very, very, very quick tangent. Same thing. Local pro Chris often is called Chris Ozelins. I heard him introduce himself once on a ThoughtSpace video as Chris Ozelins, and he always gets Ozelins or Chris Oz or whatever. Anyway, so and now I've burned so much time that I'm forgetting who Sean picked. Sean, who's your MPO pick?
Calvin.
I went to straight Calvin.
Calvin, and Robbie, you went
Niklas.
Yeah, I thought so. Ooh, that's interesting. I see the Eagles here. Okay, I'm done burning time here. I'm going to make a relatively creative pick here as well and go with Ricky Wysocki. We were sort of asking ourselves earlier, how is he going to perform? Can we count him out? Can we count him in? But coming off of pretty hot performance at the Preserve, I like him to refine some form. So I'm going to go with Anakin, and I'm going to go with Ricky.
Nice.
And now let's throw over to another preview that is not anywhere near as far away from us as Sweden, but to the Des Moines Challenge. We're seeing most of the tour staying stateside for the Des Moines Challenge. Some of the big MPO names flying back as well. On the MPO side, we're looking at a pretty stacked field here. Calvin Heimberg, Gannon Burr, Simon Lizotte, Chris Dickerson, Matty O, the Robinsons, Kyle Klein, AB, Cole Radalin. A deep, deep, deep field. The list goes on. 118 names on the MPO side. And on FPO, again, just a murderer's row. Owen's playing, Holland's playing, Big Money Missy's playing, Haley King, Kat Murch, Val Mondano, Natalie Ryan. The list goes on and on. Rebecca Cox, again, we see registered, as we were talking about before. Deep, deep fields, 49 women playing. So I think we're looking at a pretty exciting weekend of disc golf. Last year, we saw Gannon Burr and Kristen Tatar taking it down. We are not going to see Kristen repeating on the FPO side, unfortunately. We may see Gannon repeating on the MPO side. Let's throw over to Sean and then Robbie for some quick thoughts on who we think is going to take this down. I think we could just move straight to picks. You guys take this whatever direction you want, but I'm curious, any thoughts you have, and then let's lock in some picks real quick.
Let's go picks. I am going with friend of the show Rebecca Cox in FPO and friend of the show Luke Taylor in MPO. I am showing loyalty to our guests and appreciation for them coming on our little show here. So I think both of them are going to take them down. Guaranteed, locked in.
The missed Mando bump is a thing. I mean, it's bound to happen. So yeah, I mean, you can't argue with those picks.
I can't argue with that logic at all. Straight science. Again, what's the actor? The Zach Galifianakis hangover numbers floating around his head. I can't fight with that logic at all. How about you, Robbie? Who do you got in Des Moines?
So I am going to go with a former champion on the MPO side. He won this event in 2022, and we haven't seen him in a little while, but he's making his return to the tour. I'm going with Mr. Simon Lizotte.
I like that pick.
Has he played at all since his win at MCO and then leaving for his wife to have a kid?
He played at the Preserve.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. For some reason, the Preserve still comes up as recent events on players' profiles and not.
Yeah,
I was looking.
I didn't see him on coverage, did you?
No, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm still fine with it.
T14 out of 119, first event back in a while.
Yeah,
no shame there.
Oh, great.
Not bad. And he's a former champion in Des Moines only 2 seasons ago. So I like that pick. And, shocker. This is going to be so surprising to everybody. She's in the field. So I'm going to pick her. It's Holland Handley. I'm just gonna keep going with Holland for the whole season. And
she's gonna be at the very least top 5.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. That's top 3, basically. I mean, I think I read out during. It might have been last podcast, maybe the one before. I don't remember. It was right before she took down a win. She had the most podiums on tour of anybody. And was still looking for that win. So she is like a podium lock, and she's got that winning experience now. So came close at the Preserve. 2 strokes to Missy. She's going to bounce back, and she's going to take it down in Des Moines.
I like it. I can't argue with any of that logic. I am going to go on the MPO side with the second highest rated player at a very tepid 1049 player rating, coming off of wins at the Portland Open and Beaver State Fling. Going to go with another young gun to match Sean's young gun and Luke Taylor, and take Mr. Gannon Burr on the MPO side. And FPO, I am feeling this week, let me see. Yeah, we were just talking about her and a great performance. I like Big Money Missy. Let's lock that in. We're gonna go Gannon Burr and Missy Gannon. We got Gannon squared here for my 2 picks.
Nice. Heck yeah.
So feeling good about it. We got 2 friends of the pod. We got 2 excellent disc golfers, and then we got 2 Gannons. So I like the themes of our choices.
Nice.
I think we got another couple of quick topics we want to do a roundup on. So why don't we hop over to that, fellas?
Yeah,
sounds
Johnny G, let's send it to you.
So there's some big sponsorship news this week. Everybody heard Kevin Jones has left Prodigy, and at the Preserve had the amazing reveal. He's got a jacket on. He's coming up to the tee pad, and he takes the jacket off, and underneath he's wearing the Innova team shirt underneath, and that was sweet. That was so cool. Super flex. But also today, that we're recording on Tuesday, it was announced that Vino Makala is also leaving Team Prodigy. And both departures seem to be mutual. There doesn't seem to be any animosity. I don't know if it was, I don't know what's going on over at Prodigy, if they're shedding roster, shedding costs. Maybe they're, I don't know, maybe someone's sniffing around looking to buy and trying to thin out the team a little bit. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's a salary cap that we don't know about. And they're trying to make some room for the playoffs.
The case.
Who knows? But anyways, very interesting that two big name players in under a week heading away from Prodigy, where they've both been for quite a long time. It'll be interesting to see where Vino ends up, and it'll be interesting to see how Kevin does with his new old bag. I'm
interested to see. I'm more surprised about Vino than I am about Kevin. Although I am definitely surprised about Kevin, because I'm pretty sure that Prodigy didn't re-sign Chris Dickerson because they decided to go with Kevin Jones as more of the face.
They gave the bag to Kevin
of the brand, yeah, and obviously now in that time since that happened, they had Gannon Burr really emerge as a star and leave the team, and now I would say probably, last year it was Isaac as the face of the team, but maybe Ezra this year as the hotter brother on tour so far this year, that is Prodigy sponsored. But Vino, I think it was like 11 years or nine and a half years with Prodigy, which is insane. I mean, he's a young guy, and was, to me, always seemed like basically the face of Prodigy Europe, which Prodigy has,
after
a large presence. Yeah, Seppu, but Seppu doesn't really compete anymore. So
not anymore.
That kind of takes him out of it, but yeah, and I mean he actually TD'd Turku, I believe, which is kind of cool, seeing some old players that I used to watch on coverage TDing now. But yeah, I was definitely really surprised with that, and definitely wondering what's going on with Prodigy. And we were chatting about this earlier, Sean, and you made a nice point that maybe they're more of the up and coming kind of company, where it's like they really focus on the like finding diamonds in the rough at a really young age, and having the young guys really come up, and then once they hit their heights and need a bigger spot to go to, they eventually leave, like the Oakland A's of disc golf. So I don't know. I'm curious to see if any other names. It's weird timing too, middle of the season. Very weird timing for contract stuff to be going on. So I'm interested to see if this is it for Prodigy departures, or if we might even see some more coming up. Who knows?
I don't know. It's weird, and it's super interesting. But Kevin Jones wasn't the only big catch by Innova this week. Perhaps even bigger than Kevin Jones, Bill Nye, the science guy, released 2 signature discs this week. A Mako 3, that is pure hotness, but the real people know the other disc is the pure money. It is a Champion Condor, a supersize class disc. You got to be special to throw a Condor like my Zephyrs over here, my babies. Only the true elite athletes of the sport can throw Condors, and so of course I ordered both of them, and I can't wait to receive these utterly amazing frisbees.
That stamp is just absolute fire.
That's awesome.
As,
Bill Nye, the science guy.
As a bow tie aficionado, I'm very, very happy to have a bow tie disc. Super excited for those releases. And then lastly, keeping on the Innova news, but bringing it a little bit closer to home.
There's lots of Innova news this week.
In news that I don't think anybody saw coming, Innova seems to have bought Ace Runners, one of the big stores, disc golf stores in Canada, out of British Columbia, and it will now be Innova Canada. We asked John, the owner of Ace Runners, if he wanted to come on the show to talk about it, and I haven't heard back, but hopefully I will. So many questions. It could be super cool. I don't know what it means for existing Innova distribution channels. Presumably they will no longer exist and they will all go through what was Ace Runners that is now Innova Canada, or what will become Innova Canada soon enough. What happens to all the stock at Ace Runners that is not Innova? Will they continue to be sold, or is that sort of done? I don't know. Lots of questions. I don't know what's going on there. But it was a big news in Canadian disc golf this week, and I'm curious to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, it was definitely
where that goes.
Huge news. Yeah, my first disc I ever bought, not in person. I mentioned buying some discs in BC at like the course where I played for the first time. When I picked disc golf back up, it was Ace Runners. That was where I was ordering from for a long time, and still do sometimes. So this is pretty cool news. I'm curious to see where it goes too.
Yeah, lots of interesting things, lots of questions, not enough answers at this point, but hopefully, like Sean said, hopefully we can get John on the podcast at some point to talk more about the acquisition and the future of Ace Runners, or what's going to be called Innova Canada. But this has been a fantastic show. We have gone on plenty long enough, so we are going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much once again to Luke Taylor and Rebecca Cox for joining us for an interview. Absolutely amazing having both of them on, and we'll be rooting them on for the rest of the season. Yeah, that's going to do it for us here on Missed Mando. For Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu-Harris, I am Robbie Holden. This has been episode number 10 of Missed Mando, and we'll catch you on the course.